Hey everybody, it's me, Angel Benton, looking rough and haggard as ever. Whatever. And it's time for another Sudsy recap. And today I'm doing Ladies of London. Ladies of London was really good this week. But here's the thing about Ladies of London that is a little bit frustrating, is a lot of shit happens off camera. And that's a little frustrating. And it's not so much like, so on the Housewives, Beverly Hills, New Jersey, and is it New York? A lot of shit happens off camera. And you've got to really pay attention close because like stuff that's referenced was never seen on the screen. So it's like, okay, so like in a soap opera, Caroline Hinsey, who writes It's Only My Opinion for Soap Opera Digest, she talks about how if it doesn't happen on screen in a soap opera, it's difficult to get the audience to care about it as if it actually happened. For example, Abigail and her, on Days of Our Lives, Abigail with her stuffed elephant or whatever the hell it was, we didn't know anything about that. I don't ever remember there being a stuffed elephant involved in Abigail's life, right? So it's those uses of history that are retconned, which is what they call it in comic books when they change someone's past. So that's the type of shit, though, that is annoying on a reality show. It's bad enough on a soap opera, because I agree with Carolyn. If we don't see it, it is very difficult. That's why, like, on Days of Our Lives, they're so dependent upon that. But, like, for example, when they came up with the twist that Chloe was carrying Nicole and Daniel's baby. Stupid. That was stupid. That was pretty dumb. I'm not gonna lie. Anyways, so Ladies of London, a lot of stuff happened between last week and this week, right? And first of all, Sophie has apparently, made amends with Caroline Stanbury and is moving forward, which that kind of shocks me a little bit because Caroline Stanbury was recently on Watch What Happens Live, and she said that her and Sophie's relationship never recovered. But in the show, it looks like it seems to be getting back to where it should be, so I don't know. Maybe something else happens and that kind of is the straw that breaks the camel's back. Who knows? Okay, so that's one thing that happened. What's interesting is that, Caroline Stanbury has this, first of all, we got to see a lot of Luke. This episode was lots of Luke. I love me some Luke. I think he's totally hot. So it was very interesting. That was very cool. And obviously Caroline loves her some Luke too, because besides the fact that she takes him everywhere, she made sure that she was in the room next to him. Like, that was important to her. I love it. That kills me. So she had this big soiree, not even a soiree, because that happens at night. This big weekend in Scotland. And they showed all the girls flying to Scotland. I'm wondering though, because I'm just looking at a map, right? I'm wondering how long it would take to drive to Scotland. Like, is it one of those flights that it's like when people fly to Vegas, they really don't need to fly to Vegas, but they just don't want to sit 4 hours in the car, so it takes them just a half an hour to go to Vegas? Is it like one of those types of drives? Or is it like from here to, no, not from here, from like LA to much further northern California, like Guerneville or Monte Rio. Like, if it was all the way up there, then, because that's like an 8-hour drive, then it would make sense why you would fly, right? That's kind of like between Las Vegas and Reno, right? So if it's 8 hours, then I'm like, okay, well, so I don't know. It could be even more than that. It's very difficult to tell because the whole island of Great Britain, which has Scotland on the northern end and then England on the bottom end, it looks like to me like around the same size as the state of California, but I could be wrong. Listen, it's very difficult for me to see those things. So anyway, so they showed them all on the plane. And Caroline Fleming is like, I'm not a good flyer, which I can relate to that as well. I'm not a good flyer either. And she, had to have her glass of champagne, and I totally get it. So they all get to this Scottish estate, right, that Caroline had rented out for the ladies, and she was the hostess. And here's the thing, though. There is still tension between Julie and Caroline. Like, it hasn't come to a head yet, but there are just shady, backhanded comments going between the two of them. And, you know, it's hard because I don't really have a dog in that fight. I really don't care who wins. I really don't. I know that's really mean, but because they both have their points, right? So Caroline was kind of taking the piss out of both Julie and Caroline Fleming by saying, look, this is the house rules. The only rule is you got to show up to dinner. That's pretty much the only rule. If you don't want to come to breakfast, don't come to breakfast. Sleep in, you know. So that kind of pissed off Julie because she had her house rules at Mapperton. But here's the thing about that, too. She talks about how that was her first big, you know, event that she held at Mapperton. But, like, she had those ladies for dinner 2 years ago on season 1. Right? Remember when Juliet didn't want to eat venison, so she was passing back and forth with Noelle, her food? I mean, like, and if I remember correctly, Caroline Stanbury was absolutely mortified at that, right? So I do find it kind of interesting that now Caroline Stanbury's like, well, you don't have to do any rules. That's just how it goes, you know? It's a little shocking, but, you know, people change. So Brandon Baker, my ex-roommate, is in town, and he stopped by today, and he reminded me of this stupid phrase from Dawson's Creek where Joey's like, things change, Dawson, people change. Oh, God, I hate that. I hate that saying. I hate it. Ugh. Anyways, regardless, so they had that issue going on. Then there was a lot going on with Marissa this week. A lot. So you know how, like, in the first few episodes of this season, Marissa was kind of like on the outskirts because she had all these medical issues, and then she had Sadie, and then Sadie had all these medical issues, so she wasn't kind of like in with the girls. But you know how they say absence makes the heart grow fonder? Not in this case. Absence grew contempt because Marissa came back and Caroline Stanbury came out swinging. Like, she was like, I don't appreciate you telling people that, you starting the rumor that I had legal issues and that's why I'm moving to Dubai. I hate to break it to you, but, you know, legal problems will follow you wherever you go, right? And she's saying, you know, I didn't start that rumor at all. I did not create that rumor. And she's like, yeah, but you said it out loud. And, you know, this goes back to that whole thing of shit that happened off camera. Okay? Because we didn't see Marissa talking on camera about Caroline Stanbury's legal problems. Does that mean that that didn't happen? Obviously not. I think it did happen. She was just smart enough to not do it on camera, so she can make it look like, oh, well, I didn't say anything, you know, but she might have. I mean, I don't know. But it's one of those situations where, as a viewer, it's difficult for me to really be that invested. It's kind of hard. So I'm like, okay. And then there was drama between Adela and not Caroline Stanbury, which is incredible. And Sophie. Sophie didn't have any issues with anybody this episode, right? So there was issues with Adela and Juliet. And here's the problem. Adela was talking about how she was contemplating suicide because she was in such a depression back then, and she was an addict. And Juliet is very much like, as a mother, I would never, ever do that to my children. That's so selfish. Listen, I understand where Juliet's coming from, and I get her opinion. Would I have shared that with Adela at the dinner table? Probably not. I probably would have kept that to myself. Maybe said it in my interviews off camera, but not with Adele. I would not have mentioned that because it just made her look. I mean, both Marissa and Adela had to walk off the dinner because it was a little much, right? Anyways, so that's all that happened on Ladies of London this week. It's great though. I love it. Hopefully I'll be able to see it this next week. But thank you so much for logging on today. I do appreciate it. You can follow me on Twitter at Angel Benton. You can also hashtag Ladies of London, or you can hashtag RHOBH to talk about that, because I'll be doing that episode next. All right. Have a wonderful day. Peace out. Wubba, wubba, wubba.